lot of people die exactly on time, like it was put into their head. But the people that dispel that myth and say, no, I'm going to fight it, I'm going to live, those are the people that do live. And the crazy thing is that
Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Beljanski Cancer Talk Show. Today we're joined by Carl Wagner and Zach Frank, the leadership team behind BeatCancer.org, one of the most respected nonprofits in holistic cancer care. Carl, now the CEO, has carried on the founder Susan Silberstein's mission for over a decade, while Zach, as COO, has helped expand the organization's global reach. Together, they're empowering patients and practitioners with practical education for cancer prevention and healing. Get ready to be inspired by the heart and mission driving this trusted voice and holistic cancer support.
Hello, Carl. Hello, Zakariya. On behalf of Victor and myself, I'm delighted having you today at the Beljanski Cancer Talk Show. It's the first time that we are having two guests, so I hope we are going to be able to handle so much information today. It's very special for me to have both of you today representing BeatCancer.org because I think I met Susan Silberstein 25 years ago. She was introduced to me as really a grande dame of integrative cancer medicine, as a PhD with a lot of knowledge, one of the pioneers of integrative medicine. And many years ago, I attended one of her seminars. I think it was near Philadelphia. I thought I knew a lot about cancer walking into that, but it was really something illuminating. And the level of humanity with which she was addressing the disease, it was not a disease, it was really humans with a disease she was speaking about. I remember getting my little diploma and I was so proud of the experience and so I felt so really interested by this experience. I was really sorry when I learned that Susan had retired and then she was no longer doing those webinars, but I was so happy to know that you have picked up the mantle and you are continuing this great work that she was doing. So I assume things have changed a little bit since the time of Susan. Can you tell us more about BeatCancer.org today and what is it doing and what you have made of this wonderful legacy that Susan Silberstein has left us?
Absolutely. Why don't you go ahead and take that one first, Carl? You were here before me, so take it from your beginnings here.
Thank you, Sylvie. Thank you so much for having us. We're honored to be guests on your show. Yeah, so a little trip back in time when you had seen Susan and had taken her course to the Holistic Cancer Coach course. It was done in the office, and you could probably only fit about 6 people in there and at a time. And
there were more people than that. It was there were a lot of people who were really
it's a different conference. Okay.
eager to hear about what she was saying.
Yeah. We used to give the course, teach the course in-house at our location in Wynwood, Pennsylvania, which is near Philadelphia. And it was just the office, and it was whoever could come to us got to take the course. But now we have the course online, and we've done many upgrades to the course over the course of time. And yes, thank you for mentioning that. We are picking up the torch and carrying her legacy into the future. We feel that the information is just way too valuable to let that go with her retirement. But she's enjoying her grandbabies now, and that's what she's doing, so that's good for her. But in the meantime, we have an important mission to complete. And the idea for us is that we break the chain by teaching people about this knowledge and how to let them be self-empowered to take this knowledge and be a participant in their healing rather than just a victim to the disease of cancer. So I'll let Zach take it from there.
Absolutely. And since you asked about changes, Sylvie, the biggest change is that we've gone virtual. Being around since 1977, we're older than computers and we're older than the internet. So, of course, like Carl was mentioning, in order to learn what we know, you had to find yourself physically on location wherever Susan was. Now, like Carl was mentioning, we offered the education at the center in Pennsylvania, but Susan did also travel around doing speaking engagements around the country, and I believe maybe a little international. But of course, that's very limited in who's able to benefit from that by means of arriving and buying tickets and arranging travel, etc., to wherever she was going to show up. The biggest change now is that we're virtual. In the decade plus that Carl has been CEO, he brought the organization from being all on notepads and post-it notes to being online. So not only with the course that's now offered in virtual format, everything. We're able to author blog articles. We're able to utilize social media and put out information that way. And with the technology that's available now, we're more efficient in how we're able to have an impact on as many people as possible. So it's like the heart of the organization is still the same, but now we have more tools to get out there with all the technology these days. So that I'd say that's the biggest change. Besides that, there's a change that's happened in the presentation of the organization because, of course, with Susan being the founder and she was the original speaker and the director of education, it was the Susan organization. It was the Susan show. And so she was, of course, the superstar. With her retiring, of course, as naturally people have to retire, here we are. And now we have other superstars. We have Carl, we have myself, we have wonderful coaches that have really taken the opportunity and ran with it and are wonderful examples of what it is to be a cancer coach with us. And we have other potential associates that might be taking the scene, and we might raise more stars into the future. And that has a beauty in that we can have different avatars, different individuals that'll resonate with more diverse types of people instead of it just being one person. So it's a natural evolution and it only expands our impact, all of these things.
We know in the world of holistic medicine, we all know the impact of stress on cancer, but Susan was really getting deep into that and really associating different kind of stress with some kind of organs who were showing the stress. Is it something that you are continuing to do and to explain, to educate people about that? Or have you added other modalities? What is your course about today?
Yeah, so the emotional correlates with the specific organs having cancer is definitely a key part of the program. Our whole approach is to have a holistic mind, body, soul approach to not just the formation of cancer and the prevention of it forming, but also in the healing of it and creating the conditions in the body so that healing can take place. So yeah, like you mentioned, that was an area of great interest for Susan. It's an area of great interest for myself. That was when I came through the organization and I originally took the course myself. Personally, that was one of the most fascinating parts for me because I had a background knowledge and understanding those things, but the way she explains them and breaks them down and the literature to back it up, man, honestly, that's one of my favorite lessons in the course. So that's definitely still a part of it. And I'll toss it over to Carl so you can talk more about what we include in the program.
Yeah, we still sell books that Susan has authored. That's one of the offerings that we have is in our repertoire of education for people. And at least two of them are specifically on stress. And throughout those books, she cites and shows the actual studies that she got the information from. So everything that we give people as part of their education has all been research-based. So there's nothing that we talk about that's just conjecture or theory. So there is that component to it that it's all research-based. But also, too, a lot of it was gained through her personal knowledge in the field. She had worked in the field for over 35 years with thousands of patients, tens of thousands. And also too, she would do lectures for doctors and nurses. Many times they were just small lectures of 10 doctors or so in the room to very big halls where there's 5,000 people in the room. So she got the knowledge out in that way, and we're happy to keep that going.
Yeah. But to answer the question more about what's in the course itself, it's very comprehensive. And the beginning level, the beginning section really talks about the fundamentals. We start the process by priming students with what it means to even be a successful patient. We set the stage for the mindset that's required for healing. Because it doesn't really matter what modality you're undergoing or what treatment you're undergoing. If a patient is going in with a very powerfully negative attitude, has a lot of despair, or doesn't have the faith that they're going to make it, it's a very difficult mechanism in the body to combat, right? Because our cells listen to us. Our cells will listen to what we are trying to program into them, whether that's healing or pain and illness. And then we go into, of course, nutrition. We go into stress management, like you mentioned. We go into pain management. We talk a bit about we talk about detoxification. Because it doesn't matter what you're putting into your body physically. You can put all the good stuff in the world in, but if there's still some nasties in there that you want to get out, it's important to get those out and get them out of the way as well. So the level 1 is very foundational. Then the course dives deeper, both scientifically, talking about criteria for evaluating certain diagnoses, the rationales for implementing certain protocols, and then it also dives deeper spiritually. And that's really when we get into the nitty-gritty of those emotional correlates to cancer. We talk about cancer-prone personality types and personality traits. So that's the level 2 section, we call it. And then the level 3 section takes what has been learned and now circles back to, okay, how do we implement this as a cancer coach? Because it's one thing to know the information and practice it with oneself, but to implement it and guide the others through the information as our coaches do, that takes a different skill set and a different knowledge set. So the coaching level, or the level 3 of the coaching program, it talks about how first starts with, again, setting the mental foundation with qualities of a successful coach, what kind of mentality it takes to be able to guide someone. But then it also talks about specifically how to guide someone through dietary change. Because unfortunately, clients or patients aren't like robots where you could press a different button and now they're going to eat different, right? People can be funny sometimes. It takes a bit of working with them to make the changes happen sometimes. So we talk about things like that. There's some case studies from Susan's experiences. There's also how to guide an individual into and through their faith in regards to a cancer experience, different coping styles and coping mechanisms that a coach might see in a client or a patient. These are the kind of things that are on the tail end of the course to then take the information and apply it.
Is this one-on-one coaching, or is this like group coaching? Like, how does that kind of work?
There are so many different ways that a coach operates. We have all of the above. Coaches are free to operate in the way that they best see fit. So we have coaches that work individually, one-on-one, be it in person, virtual, or a mix thereof. And then we have coaches that do giant group sessions and form cohorts of students. We have coaches that form their own whole nonprofit organizations. We have coaches that are pastors or religious leaders that just want to be able to help their congregation. And we have coaches that are anything in between. We actually have 2 coaches. It is fun to talk about. We have 2 coaches that came through our course and then wrote and act out musical theater productions to talk about holistic cancer healing and prevention. So that they sing and dance and do that on stage. And then that's how they operate as a coach. So no matter what someone wants to do from that list or whatever creative thing they think of, we welcome them to come through the program, and then we support them, of course, in doing any of those things.
Yeah. And back to your specific question, even though some people do group type settings and musicals or whatever, where they're getting it out to the masses or creating their own courses, I think that people are best served ultimately on a one-to-one basis. So after they do these group things, I think people that really want to work with these coaches still go back and work with that coach on a one-to-one basis. It has to be that way. Every individual on different, and you could have two individuals on paper, and this is the way I guess most doctors look at it. They're exactly the same on paper, same gender, same ethnicity, same diagnosis of cancer, same stage, and therefore they would get X protocol, but we don't see it that way at all. We see them as an individual. They're all different. They have all different starting points, and again, their personalities, and all those things that work together in concert to help that individual.
Yeah, that's so different from conventional medicine, where your people are treated with standardized protocols, which are said to be the gold standard. And it's not true. Not one fits all is absolutely not true. And people, they are said to fail the therapy when in fact they were given very often something that was not a good fit for them in the first place. I have a question. So you are explaining your modules, your modalities, your courses. So based off what I have understood, and tell me if I am wrong, module 1 and module 2 are for everybody concerned with cancer. And then if you want to become a coach, you go for module 3. Am I right?
So
Yeah,
right now, oh, go ahead.
yeah. We did have the course separated at one time for people if they wanted to just learn for themselves as a patient or a caregiver of a patient. And then level 2 was more for people that maybe had an established practice, doctors or other health professionals, or people that were running group sessions. Level 2 gave them all the practical applications for that, including a presentation that they could use. That was Susan's coveted presentation. I had to pry that from her hands, but we provide that in the course. But now we find that a bulk of the people, no matter what level they want to be at or want to start at, they just usually just do the whole course.
Yeah.
So how many classes, hours is the whole course?
In regards to the video, so the format of the course, each lesson has a base video of lecture, and then there's a quiz, and there's supplementary readings and perhaps additional audios and videos per each lesson. So if you're strictly talking the core videos, I believe there's around 11 hours of lecture. But in regards to going through the supplementary and additional information, there must be dozens and dozens of hours beyond that.
Yeah. Then you have those evenings. You kindly invited me to one of your evenings. So that happens also on a regular basis. That's open to everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Currently, we have two calls every single week. The first is on Thursday. Thursday evening calls are public and open to everybody. Anybody's welcome. Tell your friends, invite everybody you know. Anybody's welcome. And so in those Thursday evening calls, they're called our Ask a Holistic Cancer Coach weekly calls. And those are a very open-ended call to just chat about all things holistic cancer healing and prevention, and really all things just holistic health and wellness at large. Myself and Carl are both on there. Several of our holistic cancer coaches come on the calls, and then whoever else would like to show up. And then we sometimes have different subject matters that we pitch, but really they're meant to engage the community of whoever's on. We could answer questions on any specific topics that someone's wanting to know about, point people towards resources, and we just have fun talking about all sorts of different things. And then on Monday evenings currently, we have our private community calls. So these private community calls are only for the current students and the certified coaches and our staff, and these are an internal call. And these are pretty diverse. Sometimes we do additional subject matter trainings or explorations. Sometimes we do business and implementation trainings, like we train some of our coaches on how to do social media if that's what they want to do. Or if there's a interesting client management software, we'll explore that and see if coaches want to do that. Anything that we could think of that'll help a coach be a better coach. If a coach had something fun happen that week, landed their first client, or they had a really good thing happen, we celebrate with them. Or if a coach is facing a challenge, we brainstorm and figure out how to get them through that. We do some communications trainings, all sorts of stuff. But over to you, Sylvie.
I love that because being a coach can be such a lonely and uh, drain you so much. You give all day long to patients who are sometimes physically and emotionally needy. Having a resource like yours, which is dedicated to supporting coaches, I think that's absolutely unique and I love it. I think providing a high level education plus the human support, the place where they can go and be between coaches, I think it's really important.
That
Yeah.
that is our overarching message at this point, is that whether you're a coach or a patient, you're not alone in this. And that's why we do the two different calls. And the one that you were on was a coach's only call, so we bring on special guests like yourself to educate our coaches too, on top of all the other things that we do internally. And we were happy to have you. And we also had, who was it?
We had Al Sanchez from Poly MVA. We've had Dr. Lauren Cohen from RGCC Labs. We've had Dr. Zubin Marolia, wonderful mistletoe-focused cancer doctor out of India, and some others too.
I was trying to think of the other person from Beljanski that came.
We had Josephine.
Yeah, Josephine. That's
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was great having you both on, and it was such a wealth of knowledge, and the coaches were so appreciative of that. And not only that, we record those calls and we put them into a master coach suite, so anybody that's a graduate of our course, no matter what time they came into the course, they can go back and watch these videos.
How can people reach out to you and become part of that?
Welcome to a new chapter in men's health. Prostabel offers a natural boost for men over 50 concerned with maintaining their prostate health. The capsules are packed with 310 milligrams of Pau Pereira and 60 milligrams of Rauwolfia vomitoria, ensuring potent support for your prostate. Experience broad-spectrum support with safe and non-prescription ingredients, all backed by science. Plus, enjoy the added benefit of reduced nighttime bathroom visits, helping you achieve a more restful and uninterrupted sleep. Discover real stories and transformative experiences. Visit our website to see what others are saying about Prostabel. Take charge of your well-being with confidence and feel better naturally. Discover Mason Beljanski, sourced from nature, perfected by science. Enjoy a 15% discount on your first purchase with code EP2. Prostabel, where your health journey begins.
Super easy. Right on our homepage, BeatCancer.org, you can see a button in the top menu that says Become a Holistic Cancer Coach. That'll bring you to a page that has some preliminary information about the program. There's a quick video on there introducing the program a little more. And right on there, there's a form that you can fill in that you're interested in more information. That'll get you more information. It'll give you the opportunity to hop on a call with one of our team members, learn more, get your questions specifically answered. And it's as simple as that.
And what is in the future for BeatCancer.org? What do you have any
Oh, wow.
something in?
That's a big question. No, yeah, there's a lot in the future for BeatCancer. Some things are closer than others, but in moving into the future, we look to add additional curriculum modules into the course. We're also going through it again and making sure that all the information is up to date and making some additions and alterations. We're looking to be present at more conferences, wonderful conferences such as the Beljanski conference into the future. We're working on some technology that'll be very useful for our coaches. I'll toss it over to Carl, see if there's any that he wants to dive into. But I don't know if we have enough time within the remainder of this call to talk about all of the plans.
But these are the ones that are just actually in the works right now. But I think the biggest thing for me is that it's the message that when a coach works with a person, not only does that person find healing or optimize their potential for healing, but the idea is all rooted in epigenetics. So what we want to do is when that person learns and ultimately heals, that their family sees and their family starts to follow suit, or even their friends if they're close enough and their caregivers. So the idea for us is that in that family, if they would say in the past, oh, my mom got it, oh, my aunties got it, my grandma got it, I'm just going to get it. What we want to do is break that chain right there, because more than their genetics that were passed down, it's also to their habits, and most of them are formed around the kitchen table. So I'm not talking just about eating, that's a big one, but also how do you deal with stress, how do you deal with your family members, and all those things are learned habitually through the family. And if we could break that chain, then from that point on, generations forth will have a completely different story. They won't be saying that anymore, that my mom got it, my aunties got it, I'm going to get it. So that's the idea, is that we call this generational change. And hopefully we can get it to the point where kids are learning this information from their parents. And when they're old enough to be the decision makers for America or wherever, that they'll be involved in the policies that change America. And my ultimate goal is irrelevance, right? To get to a point where we're not needed anymore because everybody just gets it. So that's my big dream with this. But the medium-term dream is just to break that chain in that family and to forever change the lineage.
Yeah.
What a wonderful gift. What brought you personally, to both of you, to this organization? Because I think there is, behind every engagement, there is always a personal story, a personal touch.
Yeah, my mother died of cancer, and before her father died of cancer. And then after my grandmother got remarried, her second husband also died of cancer. So I got to see it really close. I worked for my grandfather at the time when he passed. I was just a teenager, and I watched him go from a strapping Depression era, hardworking man to wither away to nothing. And he died pretty much right on time. And I think that's a terrible thing that happens in the cancer world, is that people are not only given a diagnosis, but they're given a prognosis, and they're usually given a death date. And the crazy thing is that a lot of people die exactly on time, like it was put into their head.
Exactly. And they follow suit. Absolutely.
And then they do. But the
Yeah.
people that dispel that myth and say, no, I'm going to fight it, I'm going to live, those are the people that do live. And I've
Indeed.
even seen people that had cancer till the day they died, even after they worked with us, but they managed it, just like heart disease or diabetes. They kept it at bay, and it wasn't the thing that killed them. It was just old age. They lived to, we had a woman that came to us early on, and she had stage 4. She was given literally weeks to live, and she was in the papers and everything, but she had weeks to live, and she went on for 35 years. The last time I heard from her, she was 95 years old, 35 years past her stage 4 death date. We've seen it happen, and we take no responsibility in the fact that she survived. All we did was give her the tools that she needed and empowered her to do what she could do on her own, and her body did the rest. We did nothing. So all we can do is teach people this information. I got steered away from the actual statement, but that's what we do and how we do it.
What a powerful message of empowerment. And you, Zach, what is your story?
Yeah, so, myself, I don't know, I just always had a healthy mistrust of the conventional anything in life. I don't know, maybe people say I'm an old soul, but I just never liked what was going on in the world for some reason. And then cancer specific, I did have my grandfather pass away when I was quite young, but old enough to see what was happening, but too young to really cognate on it or do anything about it, certainly. And I watched him attend the conventional treatments. And like Carl mentioned, just go from a very healthy, very prominent figure of a man to withered away till he was eventually in hospice. And I saw him in some of his final moments, and that it clearly wasn't right. It clearly wasn't an answer. It clearly wasn't a solution that the conventional treatment modalities offered. And that was a very important event in just my family's history. And from there, just in my own knowledge or research, as I grew into adulthood and started really understanding matters of the world and matters of health and wellness, sickness, I just lit such a fire in me to understand that it didn't have to be that way for him or for any of the other individuals that are suffering from cancer or anything else. There's just so much unwellness in the world that is all too preventable and all too actually treatable and healable, that people just don't have the tools, the knowledge, the information to do anything about. And so they fall for the traps that are laid that not just get them sick in the first place, but then finish the job. And so that's just what, once I learned things like the alternatives out there, or really, I don't like to call them alternatives, but I call it the real medicine. It just is such an important thing for me to get that message and get that information out there. And I came to a place in my life where I had shut down prior businesses that I was running and I was looking for my next work endeavor. That's when I met Carl. He told me about the mission. He told me about what was going on here. And he offered me the opportunity to be a part of it. And it was a resounding yes. And the rest is history. It's so important to me to do something that is positively impacting the world in a tangible and an everlasting way. So that's why I'm here.
It's wonderful. It's really, you're bringing your life history and you have purpose. And that's the most beautiful thing, to go through life with a purpose and making a difference and helping other people. Absolutely.
Yeah, but going back to answer your question more specifically, I had a business, I had a personal training business, and one of my partners was related to Susan, and he had cancer. And she had whatever event that they ultimately met each other at, because they didn't really know that they were related at the time. She had given him a book, and he became a patient for her, and he's been the president of the board ever since. And he brought me on to the board. I was on the board for about 4 years, and they needed somebody to run the organization. I didn't know if I could help or not, so I got in there at no salary at all, and went into the office daily to see where I could help optimize what they were doing. And I started at a very rudimentary level, just looking at their office practices and then figuring out how I could get their records to be digitized and all that. So that was my humble beginnings at BeatCancer. Of course, I've evolved since then to be where I'm at today. And hopefully, like I said, the idea is to get this going into the future, and in the not too distant future, I hope that we don't have to do it anymore.
I think this is your mission is very valuable and is needed for several decades. You are not allowed to retire anytime soon.
Don't plan on it.
No, I think what you are doing is extremely important for everybody concerned with cancer and all the coaches who want to coach a community of cancer. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who start for themselves and then discover the benefits that come with coaching and giving back and helping others. And they complete their healing process by becoming coach, which I believe is giving back is one of the most important modalities of healing yourself.
Yeah. Wonderfully said. Couldn't have said it better.
Yep.
Thank you. Especially in English, I'm very
You're great. You're great.
Thank you. So once again, to reach out to beatcancer.org, how do I do it? What should I do? How do I sign up?
Yeah. So we try to make it as easy as possible to navigate the wide web of things that we offer, but I'll answer as simply as I can for the different cohorts of individuals that may want to get involved. First and foremost, if someone is a patient and wants to get our assistance as a patient, one of the services that we haven't yet talked about on this call is the free counseling that we offer. So we employ a naturopathic doctor on staff who is available to anyone in the world. She offers telephone counseling services for anyone that is in need or in desire of that. So you can find that by going to beatcancer.org and clicking on any of the buttons that say Holistic Cancer Counseling. Very easy. Our doctor's been with us for decades now. She's wonderful. And that webpage that you'll find will have anything you need to get involved that way. Of course, our Holistic Cancer Coach certification program can be found at the button that says Become a Holistic Cancer Coach, like we mentioned before. Anyone else is welcome to just explore the plentiful free resources that we have, such as the blog articles, the different readings that we have. We have plenty of audio and video on our YouTube and social medias. And then, of course, there's the weekly calls. The public weekly calls are a great way to introduce yourself to the BeatCancer ecosystem. Again, of course, they're entirely free to attend. Whether someone just wants to listen in, a fly on the wall, participation isn't mandatory, although it is encouraged. But come out to the weekly calls. Get to know us, get to know some of our coaches, hear the kind of things that we talk about. And that's a wonderful first step to take. But over to Carl if he has any additional ideas.
Yes. Zach keeps mentioning the word free, and we don't want that to correlate with no value. The reason it's free is because we're a nonprofit. We've been a nonprofit since 1977. We accept donations and contributions to fund all the free stuff that we do. But all that free stuff does have a price to it, but it's not to the patient themselves.
Yeah. So that leads to my next question. So you are doing so much for the community. How can we support you?
Yeah. We did just launch a wonderful new donation program entitled the Sponsor a Patient program, where there's at different levels of sponsorship, there you can sponsor a different quantity of patients receiving that counseling. Essentially, we've calculated the operational cost of working with patients on average. There's no limit on how long our counselor will work with someone. Our counselor has people that call her up year after year in different ways. But on average, we've calculated the cost and we've tied those amounts to different sponsorship levels where donors can come in and either be a bronze sponsor for sponsoring one patient, silver for, I think, sponsoring two or however many. There's a whole bunch of information on that on the website. And then there's also to celebrate the community and to celebrate those that give to us and to give back to them. We do different things for our different sponsor levels. So whether that's recognition right on our website, you get listed as a sponsor. We mention our sponsors on our social media, on our weekly calls, and there's a couple different things that come along with the different sponsorship levels. So we make it super easy. There's a whole 18-page PDF about all the information on that program. You can find that by going to BeatCancer.org, of course, and clicking on the Ways to Give button right at the top. And so all the information about the Sponsor a Patient program is listed there, in addition to, of course, all of the different ways to potentially get involved, whether that be bequests or donor-advised avenues or matched giving programs. It's super easy to create a fundraiser, too. Maybe someone wants to participate in the giving. Of course, times are tough. Doesn't necessarily have the means to themselves make a significant donation. We have the opportunity to create a fundraiser, or anyone has the opportunity to create a fundraiser and promo that. And that's a super easy way to multiply the impact that any one individual or corporation is able to have.
And of course, we take donations at any level. Anything that people want to give and have the heart to give, we'll accept that. And that goes into keeping our programs going.
Wonderful.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you, audience, for listening up to this point. This is the Beljanski Cancer Talk Show, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.